Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Charles, and welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And today we got a pretty interesting show for you guys that we definitely want you guys to stick around for. But before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel here. So as y'all know, the Lakers have had some ups and downs over the last week or so. The Lakers, as y'all know, are in the hunt to make it into the play-in tournament or the playoffs, whatever it is they're aiming to do. And they dropped some pretty important games. One of those games being against the Houston Rockets, where the Lakers inexplicably decided to sit Anthony Davis because of rest or load management or whatever the hell the Lakers were trying to do. They ended up resting him that game, and they lost a very important game against the Houston Rockets. 114 to 110. They lost that game. Then, of course, they had the loss against the Dallas Mavericks, which they lost in a very heartbreaking way. AD, of course, if you guys know, had some boneheaded plays towards the end of the game. Maxi Kleber, I believe, hit a game-winning three-point shot to win that game. And then last night, they had a win against the Orlando Magic, a team that had actually just beat the Clippers 2 nights before, but is obviously in a game that Kawhi Leonard didn't play. So today, they came into Undisputed, and they were asked to kind of react to the weekend that the Lakers had, and when it was Shannon Sharpe's turn to really kind of unpack and give his thoughts about Anthony Davis and the state of affairs with the Lakers, he absolutely went off on Anthony Davis. But before we get into his comments, this video is brought to you by sponsor Aura, who's also the official sponsor of the T-Wolves. Do you know what the fastest growing crime in America is today? It's identity theft. Imagine trying to log into your email only to see that your password has been changed. Then you start getting weird notifications from your bank and credit cards, only to find out that all of your personal and sensitive information has been totally compromised. If you think it can happen to you and your family, just know that in 2020, over 49 million Americans were victims to identity theft, costing them a combined $56 billion. That is why we are excited to partner with Aura, who's the sponsor of this video. Aura is the #1 identity theft and financial fraud protection. Aura monitors the dark web and alerts you if any of your passwords and accounts have been breached. And funny enough, after using Aura, I discovered some of my credentials were floating around in the dark web, and the app showed me exactly when and where the breach happened. In addition, Aura allows you to set spending alerts, and they'll notify you of any suspicious transactions. Aura is 4 times faster than any of its competitors in alerting you if someone is trying to open a credit card or obtain a loan using your name. And remember this, every 14 seconds, someone becomes a victim of identity fraud. Don't let it happen to you. Now click the link in the description and try Aura for free for 2 weeks and see if any of you or your family's personal information has been compromised. Start your free trial at aura.com/dreamerspro. And when you try Aura, by using the link in the description below, also know that you're supporting this channel. Thank you. So what we want to do is want to play exactly what Shannon Sharpe had to say here, and then we're going to come back and react to his comments. Take a listen to that there.
Skip, I don't know about you, but I'm really over AD saying my bad. We saw him say it's my bad against Philly when he had an opportunity to make 2 free throws, put them up 1, they probably win the game. We saw him say my bad against Boston when he missed both free throws, and he could have put them up 4. And we saw it the other night. He split, had an opportunity to put them up 4. They probably win the game. Now, this is after he had just said 2 nights earlier it was his fault in Houston with the production that he gave you. So that's 4 games, at least 4 games this year, where he said, my bad. At some point in time, I want everybody to start saying, AD, you're good. That's not good enough. Austin Reeves should not have to have a career night. Austin Reeves was the best player on the floor last night for both BOAF teams, Skip. He was the best player, and it wasn't close. An undrafted free agent. You got 2 #1 overall draft picks. An undrafted free agent was the best player on the floor last night. He outscored by himself last night, 10-5. Skip, he went on a stretch by himself over the last 33, scored 10 points to the Magic 5. And there were plays down the stretch. He's like, nah, AD, I can't trust you anymore on this. I'm going to take it and do it myself. And either he made the basket or he got fouled and went to the free throw line. Skip, he shot 18 free throws last night. He was ultra aggressive. He's fearless. That's why LeBron loves playing with him. He will make big shots. Is he the most talented guy on the roster? No, but I know what I'm going to get from him. I know he's going to give me everything he got on every single night. And that's all you could ask for a player. But this AD, and I knew we were in trouble, Skip. You remember that night they beat Toronto? And I think AD had 8 points and 9 rebounds, and everybody was gushing.
Yep.
You see, just goes to show you. No. AD should never have 8 points in a ball game. He should average 8 points a quarter, not for an entire game. He drifts, he comes, he goes. No, Skip, it told me what I already knew. Skip, you can't lose that game. Skip, he fouled the guy shooting a 3. He splits the free throws. And then that was his guy. Do you realize? So you thought you're going to get the rebound. A rebound, if they make a 2, Skip, it only ties you, sends you to overtime. A 3 sends you to the locker room with your head down, asking questions. What happened? So no, Skip, it didn't tell me. And he says LeBron is going to come back at some point during the season. For what? Skip, let's just say for the sake of argument, you lose another 3 games, and you're the 15th. You're out of the play-in because it stops at the 10. What exactly is LeBron coming back for?
So you heard what Shannon Sharpe had to say there. I have a lot of thoughts about this, right? I have a lot of thoughts. For those of you who have been following this channel since, let's say, 2020, we were much smaller then. And it was around the time Kawhi Leonard joined the Clippers for the first time with Paul George. And it was this whole thing of Battle of LA. And a lot of people were picking the Lakers to be victorious. I wasn't one of them, which I ultimately ended up being wrong about. And one of the reasons I thought that the Clippers had an edge over the Lakers, although they didn't have the size in terms of the bigs to kind of contest and deal with an Anthony Davis, was because of AD's mentality. I felt like guys like Montrezl Harrell and others could rough up AD, take him out of his game, and he was going to have that mental aggressiveness to really beat the Clippers. The other thing I noticed about AD, and I said it 3 years ago, was simply this. I said that Anthony Davis was not the type of player that the Lakers are going to need moving into the future to lead that franchise into the future. How do I know this? Because I've been a Kobe Bryant fan for all of my life following the NBA. And I know exactly the caliber of basketball player you need in order to lead the Los Angeles Lakers as a franchise. I know this. I know that if you follow the Lakers and you're a Kobe Bryant fan, you know the caliber of player that one would need to lead that franchise. And it has a lot more to do than just stats that he puts up. A lot of it has to do with his intangibles and his mental disposition. Anthony Davis is a flat-out follower. That is just the fact of the matter. And I knew this based on his demeanor, the way he talks, the look on his face. AD has this look on his face like he's arrived. I also used to look at him when he was sitting post-game conferences with LeBron James. AD was sitting up there like as if he's LeBron. He had this kind of air like me and LeBron, yeah, we're mates. When they're not. They're nowhere near each other in terms of basketball in the basketball sense. They're nowhere near each other. Nowhere near. But AD had this air about him like as if, yeah, me and LeBron on the same level, when they're not. Number one. Number two, he was so happy to follow LeBron. He was so happy to be there. I'm like, this guy's a follower. He's a follower. And any player that's ever led the Lakers franchise was always a leader. We can go through the names. Magic Johnson was a leader. Shaquille O'Neal was a leader. Kobe Bryant was a leader. LeBron James is a leader. In terms of the guys that are willing to be in the front and push this thing forward. AD was never that. And we had a decent enough sample size with him when he was a New Orleans Pelican. So when people in Laker Nation were twerking it up for AD, I was like, yo, do y'all know who y'all getting? Do y'all really know who y'all getting right now? Because a lot of y'all are really, really happy right now. But do you know who you guys are acquiring? So I knew that he didn't have those intangibles. It's not just about stats. You got to look at the guy's character, his will, his determination. All of those things go into it. So I'm a bit taken aback to see how Shannon Sharpe and all of these guys are now all of a sudden discovering this when they were the ones calling him Baby Goat. Yeah. These dudes sitting up here shouting and crying and moaning and groaning. They were the same ones calling him Baby Goat. You forgot about that? So what happened to the Baby Goat, son? What happened, though? These guys were the ones that were up there twerking it up every single day. Oh, we got Baby Goat, baby goat. Big little Baby Goat. We got the Baby Goat. That's what they used to call him. Now, all of a sudden, you're discovering that Anthony Davis doesn't have the intangibles. So my question is, what were you looking at? They were looking at what a lot of people were looking at, the stat sheet. That's all. And there's more to a basketball player than stats. There's more than just stats. And that is the problem. We even put up a poll on our channel before producing this particular show. And the question was simply this. Looking at the two top 75. No, but yeah, the question was, should the NBA regret putting Anthony Davis over Dwight Howard on the 75 team? 75th team? 80% said yes. And then one of our viewers started quoting stats. Like, oh, you look at Anthony Davis stats. I'm like, Anthony Davis stats. And I'm like, Dwight Howard led the Orlando Magic past LeBron James. I believe that team had 60-something wins that season. Team beat them and then went to the NBA Finals. When has AD ever done anything like that? Ever. So a lot of people are now upset with Anthony Davis. And the question is, what have y'all been looking at all this time? What have you been looking at? I don't see it. The intangibles aren't there. If AD had the mentality of a Giannis Antetokounmpo, it would be a totally different story. But he doesn't. Which means that mentality means something when you're evaluating NBA players, not just stats. Not just stats. Because whether you believe it or not, AD's mental disposition is what will dictate the productivity that he has on the court. I'll repeat it once more. AD's mental disposition is what will drive his production on the court. Whether he puts up good numbers or not is dependent upon his mental disposition. So it's not just about stats when you're judging great players. These are my thoughts and opinions. Whatever you guys think, leave your thoughts in the comment section and we catch you on the next show.